Welcome back to Bleav in Softball. I'm your host, Jenna, and however you got here today, whether you downloaded the audio version on Apple, Spotify, etc., or you're watching the video on YouTube, thank you and welcome back. Subscribe and rate the show wherever you get your pods. You can follow us on Instagram and X at Bleav in Softball. That's BLEAV. And there's merch. Click the link in our bio on either page or go to shop.bleav.com to purchase 3 different shirts covering our bases, safer out, and catch you soon in 3 different colors. Let me know which one you like. All right, let's go through today's batting order. First, we will be covering our bases. I'll share some call outs. Then we'll head into today's interview with Carol Bruggeman. She's a leader of coaches, and you've heard her on your TV screens calling games on ESPN, and she will be calling the Eugene Super Regional this weekend. This is part 1 of our conversation today, but part 2 will also come out next week. So before Supers and then before the Women's College World Series. Then we'll bring it home and wrap up with some final thoughts. All right, let's go. Covering our bases. Mayhem. It's here and it has not disappointed so far. In regionals, so many things we could talk about, but we all witnessed some history. The first ever number 1 seed going down in regionals, that was Texas A&M, and by none other than Liberty, who is now going to their first Super Regional. 3 number 4 seeds making it to regional finals. That was Mercer in Gainesville, Santa Barbara in LA, and then Southeastern Louisiana in Baton Rouge, plus number 3 seed North Florida in Columbia. 4 unseeded teams also made it out. In addition to Liberty, Nebraska, Ole Miss, and Georgia all going to Supers, but it was not an easy path to get there for a lot of these teams. 5 game 7s, 5 if necessary games that we saw in the regional round. Liberty and A&M had all eyes on it, understandably so, and then right after that ended, Stanford and Oregon, because the winner of those 2, now Liberty, Oregon, going to play against each other. But also looking at Auburn and Florida State, Ole Miss and Arizona, and Georgia and Duke all went to that if necessary. And now with Ole Miss coming out of it, they will face Arkansas in a Super. Either way, no matter who wins, one of them will make their first trip to the Women's College World Series. And because that regional in Eugene was so insane, especially down to the wire as the last one of all the regionals to wrap up, and the fact that I've called so many of their games, just a quick shout out to the year that Stanford softball has had in 2025. They demolished the single season program record with 101 home runs this year. The previous record was 67, for context. They broke the NCAA softball attendance record with 13,207 fans at the Big Swing, hosting Cal. They also played in the football stadium for all of their home games this year at Stanford Stadium on campus. 7 All-ACC honorees in their first season in the conference. They've been ranked in the top 25 all season long, and then this was their 5th straight regional final. I call this out for multiple reasons, but one of them being, I think a lot of teams would have struggled after having a big transfer like that leave, like they did, especially in the circle and what they dealt with. They only had 3 pitchers. None of them had a ton of experience in the circle at the collegiate level, but they did it. And then their hitting stepped up, and the development of some of those players from last year to this year was remarkable. So it speaks to the coaching staff at the top, of course, with Jessica Allister, but shout out to Danielle O'Toole-Trejo in her first year as pitching coach in that bullpen. Jessica Merchant doing what she did with this offense. And then, Sarah Gronewagen also coaching first base all season long. Now on the national stage, the awards are coming down to it. There's a healthy debate, as there is every single year. The 3 finalists have been announced for the USA Softball National Player of the Year and the NFCA National Freshman of the Year. For Player of the Year, Jordy Ball from Nebraska, Nyjah Kennedy from Texas Tech, and Bree Ellis from Arkansas are all in the running. So a 2-way player, another 2-way player, pitchers in the circle and hitters in the box, and then one of the best years that we've ever seen offensively for a college softball player from Bree Ellis. Then you look at the National Freshman of the Year finalists, Riley McCoy from Oregon, Taylor Shoemaker from Florida, and Audrey Vandegrift from Alabama. Now, of those 6, only one of those names is a Believer, and that's Nyjah Kennedy. So we might need to change that. So keeping an eye on that as it unfolds leading into the World Series. And also something not to forget about, AUSL. The athletes report next week as the World Series starts for the inaugural season for this pro league. It starts literally when the World Series ends on June 7th. So we will be locked in. And as far as D1 softball, another one who will be locked in, Amanda Lorenz, is going to be one of those athletes who reports for AUSL, playing for the Volts this year. But her and I, my co-host for D1 softball, we actually released a new podcast episode this week. Broke down everything from regionals, we previewed supers, and we got to interview Rachel Roop from Liberty and talk about all those dingers that she's been hitting. So check it out, find it on the D1 softball YouTube, or download it wherever you get your podcasts. Any audio platform, you can find it. Coming up, of course, it's Super Regionals. One of my favorite weekends of the year because you're just so close to Oklahoma City. There's joy, there's heartache, it's just pure cinema. And I experienced it twice when I played, once at home, once on the road. There's just nothing quite like Super Regionals. And I will be going to the Women's College World Series again. It's the third year in a row that I'm going to be there. The first time without my alma mater being there, but perhaps the most wide open World Series field, no matter who comes out of it this weekend, that we've seen in OKC for a while at least. So I'm going to be there the whole time. If you make it out, say hello. For the OKC veterans too, give me some recs for the concessions. I tried a few new things last year and I want to keep making the rounds. It's just a really cool community there surrounding the World Series too. And someone else who will be there is today's guest. So let's head into the interview. The NFCA CEO and Hall of Famer, longtime coach in college with over 700 wins, speaker, ESPN analyst, and all Big Ten player at Iowa, Carol Bruggeman. Carol, thank you for joining. I know we've been talking about this for a while. I'm so excited we're making it happen.
Jenna, I am so excited to be your guest this week. Thank you for the opportunity to talk softball. Just really honored to be a part of your podcast and just looking forward to chatting.
We're talking softball, right? That's all we like to do, really.
Life is good.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But it's in a very busy time right now. You and I were just chatting right before we hopped on about Mayhem. And I know it's been awesome seeing you doing the broadcast. Seeing you in person at the ACC tournament was nice. And then even at the NFCA convention before that, back in December. But for you, looking at Mayhem right now, I know that you're busy. What are some of your favorite parts of this time of year?
Well, it's a great way to be busy, and I wouldn't want it any other way. You are right. Mayhem is just, I feel like for the coaches still playing, it's just what they've been working so hard for. The student athletes are just on cloud nine as they kind of see the fruits of their labor come together, and just the excitement of advancing in the tournament. But it's just so fun for the fans. I think first and foremost, just everybody that's tuning in at home or just listening in or able to attend in person. I mean, the stadiums are packed, which is fantastic. And so it's just, I can't think of a more exciting year or exciting time of year for our sport than the month of May, because I know I'll be flying certain places and I'll just have my little bag tag, it says NFCA on it with a softball, our logo on it. And I'll be sitting by anyone and everyone and they'll notice it and say, hey, you work in softball? Like, I've been watching, the regionals are, about to be super regionals, or sometimes it's the World Series, depending on where I'm going. And it's just so fun. I feel like the audience that this sport draws in just continues to expand. Once you're hooked, you keep coming back. And so, yes, it's just such an exciting time of year with Mayhem, for sure.
Always. That's so cool. I love that people notice that as you're traveling around. And it's definitely true. Anytime any glimpse of softball, anything is on the gear. I've noticed that too. People say, oh, my daughter plays, or I know so-and-so who plays. And it's one of those really cool moments where it helps you step back a little bit and remember how cool it is that we do what we do.
100%. And, you had asked about just specifically the whole broadcast adventure. And I just have to give a lot of credit to Meg Aronowitz first and foremost. Like every sport, if you look across the country at any sport, at some point they had a champion in the media area behind them to really amplify that sport. And I certainly think we've done a lot of things as coaches, and the NCAA working together as a bridge to change the rules to help with the media, help us, like less timeouts and a action clock, pitch clock, so to speak. So we've done a lot of things to really help that, but you have to have a champion behind the scenes that really believes in your sport and has the respect of her colleagues, and that's Meg Aronowitz. And so I can't give her enough credit at this time of year for what she's done really over the last decade or more, in terms of more and more broadcasts on TV and all the slots, and of course the streaming slots. And so I feel very lucky to be able to coach from the booth, so to speak. That's kind of how I feel about it. But just having coached for 25 years and been able to play in a lot of regionals and championships and things like that, and to be able to now look at it from a different lens, talk to coaches a little differently on this side as a broadcaster. It's a lot different when you're competing against someone. You're not going to open up as much, but when you're a broadcaster, and I think, have the trust, hopefully, of a lot of my colleagues in that coaching world, just get to really open up the conversations around their teams and around strategies. And that's been really fun for me. And then to be able to tell their stories and kind of share the game as it unfolds and talk strategies. It's really been a lot of fun for me. Really didn't know what to expect when I was first asked, like, hey, why don't you come in the booth and do this broadcast thing? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not very good at saying no. So I was like, sure, let's give it a try. And then the very first thing I did was call anyone and everyone I knew that already did some analyst work in any sport, and just kind of say what makes a great analyst. And every time I had the pleasure of working with a new play-by-play person, which I've worked with several over the years now, just kind of picking their brains as well. Like, hey, what do you really like about analysts, and what should I stay away from? And I honestly, that's the best way that I know I've learned. Just kind of the do's and don'ts, and then just experience. But yes, now I've had the pleasure of working for ESPN for a long time, and just feel so honored to be able to call conference tournaments and regionals and super regionals where the stakes just get higher and higher, and it's so meaningful for all the teams and all the coaches. And I'm headed out to Eugene later today, and what a great super regional that one's going to be, with Oregon hosting now all the way through super regionals, and their very balanced team. And then, the story of the regionals, which is Liberty, who's not been the first team to knock off a number one seed in regionals. So I'm just really looking forward to it. And it's been a lot of fun. Again, I feel like a little bit of a coach in the booth. And, the nice thing is, having coached so long, and after the games, when you win, you're so excited and you're on cloud nine, and you're just happy for your players. And when you lose, you just think about it forever, and you rehash it and go over it. And it's not a great feeling. And I tell you, it's very different in the booth, because win or lose, you feel the same. So that part's been really nice. But I just feel very, very honored that we have this many opportunities to have the television, to bring it to bring softball to the masses, and just really to tell the team stories.
I love that you call it coaching from the booth. I think that's so cool, especially because obviously we see a lot of players who become analysts. You were a player as well. But that's a whole other perspective that you get to bring to the conversation and to the stories that you're telling every single time that you're on the call. So I loved when I saw that. I love that you said it right away too, because I think, again, that's a unique perspective that we don't always tap into, I think. And so that's important for us.
Well, thank you. And yes, I think when you've been in that seat, so to speak, or in that third base dugout, and you've had to make those decisions about, should I leave the pitcher in? Should I take them out? Which I think, by the way, to this day, is still the hardest decision for any coach, because there's not an exact science behind it. There's a lot that goes into it. Of course, you're measuring velocity, and your pitchers and the hitters coming up and all those things, and your gut, to be quite honest. But when you've had to make those decisions, or you've had to write a lineup out, and you've had to talk to your players about the lineup, and then you've had to talk to the players not in the lineup, and how do you do that and manage your assistant coaches, and all the things. having made those decisions for a long time, it's really fun to think through those things for both teams based upon their strengths and their strategies. And so, I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to have that coaching experience and playing experience, of course, to draw upon when you're up in the booth.
Absolutely. And I also love the fact that you wanted to be coached right away. You said, I called all these people, I'm picking people's brains, I'm wanting to be the best I can be. So not only are you that coach from the booth, but you're still the student of the game at the same time, which is not surprising to me, right? Knowing everything that you do and have done for the game. But it's cool to see how that actually plays out, because we say those things all the time. Coaches will tell players to be students of the game, but what does that actually look like? And what does it look like beyond your playing days and the rest of your life? And so I think it's great that you're such a perfect example of that, actually.
Well, I appreciate that, and try to help anyone else that's new, because it's just like anything you do for the first time. I'm sure when you started in your career for the first time, you're a lot better now. You're a lot different. You're just more experienced. And I remember sitting down and here's the box and which buttons do you push? And there's people talking to you at the same time, but you have to focus on what you're doing. And just like anything, just with experience, you get a little better and learn their lingo and their language. There's a lot of language in that broadcast world that, they first started saying things to do this and do that, or use little acronyms. And I learned very quickly, when in doubt, the mic is always hot and someone's always listening. So just be quiet till you know what's happening. But yes, I've really learned a lot. Again, thanks to a lot of colleagues and just the experience of being there. And it's just so much fun because the sport is great. The sport tells it. The story unfolds in front of you, because I think our sport is so attractive to so many people, whether it's an 8-year-old who's just getting their first glove and learning how to play catch, and now they have some role models to watch, and all the way to, a grandfather who maybe had a daughter and a granddaughter who played, and they just really enjoy the game and how it's evolved. So I think our audience is really vast, which is also a lot of fun to try and just connect with all those different age groups, when you're on the broadcast.
That's the other part of it, is that you've had experience in building things, right? Whether it is in any of the roles that we've talked about that you've had. The fact that you were the founding head coach at Purdue, for example, and then we do have programs like Clemson, who's still in it, going into supers, who hasn't been around that long. But there's so much that goes into that, especially early success. Can you give some perspective on really what that's actually like to build a program from scratch?
Well, yes, I certainly can. I was 28 years old when I was hired to be the head coach at Purdue, and it was a very different time for softball. It was really growing and expanding, in the Big Ten, in the SEC. I mean, I could go on and on. It was just, softball went from about 150 programs to about 250 very quickly. Now we're over 300, which is great that our sport has elevated, and that athletic departments across the country see value in our sport and what it brings to a campus and in the student athlete experience. But yes, I was working with Carol Hutchins at the time at Michigan, and that was my first full-time assistant coach job. How lucky was I to work for the legend? Even though at the time she wasn't a legend, she certainly became one. She was in my mind from day one, but now she's just the winningest coach in Division I softball. But and when Purdue started the program, they wanted, after went through the interview process and all of that, they wanted me to start January 1, because they really didn't have anything, and they wanted to start in August of that year. Very different than what Clemson and Duke have done now, which is wonderful. It's just a different time. And I remember thinking, there is no way I can tell Carol Hutchins I am leaving right in the season here in January, February. And so they were very gracious, Michigan and Purdue, and worked it out where I was making some decisions behind the scenes for Purdue, like what kind of uniforms do you want? And, what kind of bats do you want and all that. But I also was coaching at Michigan, and turned out great. We won the Big Ten championship and went to NCAA regionals, and, it worked out well. But it was a lot at the time, because we didn't have a team and they wanted to play right away. We were not in the Big Ten that first year, but they wanted a team. And so where I say it's the biggest difference between like Clemson and Duke today, was that we did not, I had 2 months to find a team. And so I ended up signing 2 scholarship players. Both their programs they were going to, just different things had happened at that program. So they came in just like on a wing and a prayer, so to speak. And then we had a big tryout. And so that first year we had a lot of walk-ons, and it was a fantastic year. We ended up with a winning record. But it was very unique, where today, and then we were in the Big Ten after that and off we went. But today, John Rittman was hired for a year, just got to get his feet wet, help build the facility. And then he hired an assistant and got to recruit the first year and redshirt some players. And I'm so happy for him. And the job that he has done, the job Marissa Young has done at Duke. I mean, not easy to do anywhere, let alone in the ACC. And they have just done a phenomenal job. And but yeah, you can't recruit to tradition. You're not like a lot of the programs out there that just kind of reload and have that tradition behind them. It's just on belief and of course the school and the conference and all those other things. And but it was a lot of fun. I had some of the best years of my life at Purdue, met some just fantastic colleagues and friends who are still in my life today as some of my closest colleagues we've all helped each other along our professional journeys. So, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then coming here to University of Louisville as well, we had some really, really good teams and had the pleasure of winning some championships and hosting regionals multiple times. And so I feel very blessed for my time as a coach. I still feel like a coach. A lot of people still call me coach, and that to me is like the ultimate title to ever be called because of the meaning behind it, just all the roles that a coach plays, a mentor and a teacher and a leader and all those things. And so I still think like that. There's no doubt my colleagues here at the NFCA would tell you that. And so it's just, been a nice transition into the NFCA as well, because we exist to help coaches and help the sport, ultimately help student athletes.
Well, a few of the people you mentioned are Bleavers as well. They've been on the show. John Rittman I actually played for at Stanford. Marissa Young's been on the show, and then Hutch, the GOAT. You've mentioned her because how can we not? The GOAT. Yes, exactly. But what stands out to me, one of the things into what everything you just said too, is the development of coaches as well, because we obviously talk about player development a lot, as we should. But the development of coaches is really just as important, because they're the ones helping develop the players as well. So for those who might not know all that NFCA does, can you lay it out, what exactly you all do for the coaching community?
Sure. I always like to say anything in softball. So if you can think of anything surrounding softball, we're probably a part of it. So first and foremost, the word in our name is fast pitch coaches. So we do exist to help educate and professional development, mentoring for coaches. The better coaches are, the better student athletes are going to be. And that's all levels. So Division I, Division II, Division III, NAI, junior colleges, high school coaches, travel ball coaches. I mean, we are one big umbrella and one big family for all fast pitch softball coaches. And probably our primary pillar is education, professional development. And the offshoot of that is we have some in-person events like our big convention, our annual convention every year. We have regional coaches clinics. We run leadoff softball tournaments, Division I every year, Division III every year, and then we rotate between NAI and junior college. So we're outside running tournaments for teams and, of course, for coaches. So we do a lot of educational events and softball events in general. We also, another big pillar of ours at the NFCA are all our awards. And we're right in the middle now of what we call our award season. So for all of those divisions I mentioned, our coaches of every division vote for the all-region teams and the all-American teams. So the NFCA staff, we coordinate and we have a voice, but no vote. But our coaches actually select those. So it's very meaningful to our coaches and our student athletes to have those honors, because it's what the coaches feel. And so we're in the middle of the all-region, all-American process very soon for all of those sports, Scholar Athlete Awards, Coaching Staff of the Year, Fields of the Year, you name it. We have various awards and scholarship program for all of our programs and coaches. And I think the last pillar I'll mention actually the last two. But the last pillar is we're really a bridge and an agent for change. And so if people feel like, and when I say people, it starts with our coaches, of course, that's their livelihood, that's their profession. So they're very invested. But if there needs to be a rules change, or there needs to be a recruiting change, or there needs to be an equipment change, or at all the things, are we playing too many games? Are we not playing enough? When does our season start? What's our recruiting calendar look like? I could go on and on. That's where I spend a lot of my time in particular, but really our whole staff as well. We like to be the bridge to create that change. So if you think back just a few years ago, we really had an early recruiting problem.
Yep.
And, young ladies were feeling like they needed to commit when they're 6th, 7th, 8th graders. And college coaches felt like they had to get in that, jump in the game and make that happen and get those players to commit, so to speak. And, nobody liked it. The young ladies really didn't like it. They didn't know what they were doing at that age. And the parents really didn't. And the college coaches certainly didn't. And it wasn't good for our sport, quite frankly. It was not good for our sport. And so a lot of people didn't think that could ever happen. And we said, let's make this happen. And so we really gathered the student athletes, we gathered the coaches, we gathered the NCAA, and we worked really hard and got that rule changed. So now it's September 1 of their junior year where that first contact can happen. And it's been better for our sport. So we really think, and well, we don't think, we know we can help be that bridge and that change agent to really collectively decide what to do. One of the topics right now that's out there that's up for discussion, nothing's changed yet, but this just shows you how our sport evolves as programs are building more facilities, specifically in the north part of the country. A lot of them are going to a turf infield, as you know, for maintenance reasons, cost reasons. They can practice outside more, all the things. But right now, our rules state you can't host a regional. You're not eligible to host a regional, super regional, if you have a turf infield. And so there's a really good, healthy debate going on with our coaches about kind of the do's and don'ts. We don't want to limit those schools from hosting. At the same time, you and I both know if you play a game on turf and you haven't played on turf all year, it's a different game.
Right.
All the things. So we'll continue to manage that as it goes along and do its best for the sport. But those are the types of things that we are working with every day. So we're a big change agent. And probably the last thing is we're a bridge for all the companies and businesses that want to be involved in softball. Like you've been to our convention and you've seen our exhibit show. It grows every year. I mean, where we used to have maybe 100 booths, probably 15 years ago. I know when I was coaching, at the convention, and now we're going to be up over 300 this year. So there's more companies that are investing in softball, making things to help student athletes and coaches be better at softball. Think about all the, communication, with, I could go on and on, but that's where we're very involved as well with businesses and companies and helping connect them with coaches to really help grow the sport that way as well. So I always say I get to work in softball every day. Life is good. Again, anything when it comes to softball, we're probably involved in it one way, shape, or form or another. And it's really been a lot of fun.
One of the many things that I've thought was very cool that you guys have done, and I Bleav you had a pretty heavy hand in, is the Rawlings Gold Glove Awards for all of the positions. I'm a defensive girl at heart. I love defense. So when that first came out in the last few years, to see it for every single position on the field, etc., I thought that was wonderful. And I did get to see, the Gold Glove, the actual trophy at the convention as well. And then, of course, just watching some of these amazing players who have won that award. So I just wanted to tell you, I love it, basically.
Well, we are kindred spirits. I love defense too. There's nothing like, hitting the ball hard, but totally. I do. I'm the same with you. I have this passion for defense and love it. And yes, that was in the works for a long time with discussing with Rawlings. They're very protective of their Gold Glove, trademark, and they should be. It means something. And so I appreciate their trust in us that we were going to have, treat that award with the dignity it deserves. And it's been great. The first year it was Division I only award, and kudos to Rawlings. They award that now to every one of our divisions, collegiate divisions, which has been huge for all of the divisions. But yes, it's a lot of fun. We're going to announce that again. Wednesday, May 28th will be the 2025 version of the Rawlings Gold Glove Award. And yes, isn't that award fancy? It's awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
So
really
cool. Especially because now, I mean, when you win championships, you get, even at the ACC tournament that you and I were both at, they got their little individual trophy, and then the big one, of course, for the program, for the institution. But you don't always get those big trophies as much anymore. The big ones. You get the one for the team, you get a smaller version, but the Rawlings Gold Glove, man, that has a presence.
Yes. And it's a big investment from Rawlings, as you can imagine, because yes, it's fancy schmancy, and it looks like, I mean, it's very powerful when you look at it, for sure. Yeah. And it's been a lot of fun. And Rawlings and really all those companies are just, they want to be involved in softball now. They've seen the growth, they've seen the passion around it. I get to talk to a lot of those companies, and just hearing them and how they talk about softball now is really just a big shift. It's a big investment. And what I've really noticed too is a lot of these companies that you and I would know by name, just being around the sport forever, they now have like a softball division or a fast pitch division, and they're hiring a lot of former players who have an interest in business and softball. And so that's been a lot of fun too. Think Lexi Elkins from True Media. Like, she works for True Media now. Lexi Elkins was a phenomenal player and a phenomenal coach, and now she's shifted into that world. And True Media needs that softball credibility and presence, to help understand the sport. I've seen that all over the place. So to your point, there's a lot of opportunities for careers in softball, doing what you do, around a company, of course, coaching, but there's so many things now, so many doors that have been opened. And so it's a lot of fun to be a part of that.
You're so right. I was blown away also by you could see a visual of that at all the booths that were at the NFCA convention. I remember going to one section where I did see the Rawlings Gold Glove. And I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. Not even realizing yet that there was an entire other section that took up what felt like the entire floor of the building, filled with other brands and companies who are involved in helping shape softball today. So that was so cool just to get the visual of that, as well as to all that goes into our sport. And you're right, seeing a lot of current pro players, former college players, whatever it is, being involved in those companies as well it's everything you want to see, really.
Well, come to Vegas this year, Jenna, because it's even bigger and better. So just come to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get to. I would love it awesome. Because it was so cool. And it was record breaking, I believe, in terms of attendance. It
was the last 2 years now. So in 2023 was the association's 40th anniversary. And that's what a lot of people, I think, forget. Baseball's been around 150 years. We've been around 40. And so you think about the growth, it's phenomenal, but we still have a lot of catching up to do. All of women's sports does, but even in baseball, softball. But in 2023, our convention was here in Louisville by design for our 40th anniversary. And we had a chance to bring back every former executive director and every former president. And that was so fun because, all of them are still living. Yeah. And, you think about in another 10 years, you just don't know what's going to happen. And so that was really a fun event. And you're right, it was record breaking. And so going into this past year in Dallas in 2024, again, we know there's a lot of excitement around the convention and around our sport, but you think you can't break records every year. Well, we did. And that was a lot of fun in Dallas because we were bursting at the seams, which is great. So why not go for 3 in a row in Vegas? So we're excited about that. And, Vegas, you can get to Vegas from everywhere in the country. They come in, come one, come all to Vegas. So it's not tough to get to either, which is nice. But yeah, we're excited about it in December.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I'm excited just to see it continue to grow. Obviously I'd heard about the event, of course, knowing a lot of coaches go to it that I've spoken with in various ways or various avenues and forums. But to actually see it was definitely special. So I'm excited. I hope I do see you in Vegas.
Awesome.
But if taking a look at all this, because you've had so many different roles, right? And that's why I find talking with you fascinating, because the playing, the coaching, we talked about the administration piece, the broadcasting, we've touched on it as well. But just to ask you straight up, how do you think that widespread experience has shaped your perspective on the game?
Oh, great question. It's everything. It's everything. If and they all intertwine. If I were to go back and be a collegiate coach tomorrow, I'd be happy as can be. I loved every minute of being a collegiate coach.
Yeah.
But the first thing is just being in the broadcast booth, and really kind of talked about at the beginning when we were chatting, just having coaches really open up about different strategies, just really has helped my perspective. I'll give you a quick example.
Yeah.
I was talking with two coaches about a year ago, and both of their teams were in the top 5 in the country in terms of turning defensive double plays. And so I thought it was interesting. You don't see teams match up often that both can do that. And so I asked Coach A, what do you think about that? Is that something you practice? Is that intentional? Just a result of having, drop ball pitchers in the circle? I went through the whole thing. And the first coach said, how my perspective was like, oh, we think it's great. You throw one pitch, you get 2 outs. We have a drop ball pitcher who's our main pitcher. We've got some savvy, experienced veterans on the infield. We work on it every day. We feel like we can make some special double plays happen a lot more than other teams because of our talents, on and on and on.
Yep.
That's where my brain went. I talked to Coach B, asked the same question. What do you think? Your top 5. And I remember him looking me right in the eye and saying, I do not like that at all. And I said, tell me more. And he said, well, first of all, to have a double play, the ball has to be hit hard. So we're getting hit too hard. Second of all, that means there's too many runners on base. To turn a double play, you've always got runners on base somehow, some way. And went on and on about, totally shifted my perspective. Yeah. Totally shifted. So I feel like, to answer your question, how are they intertwined? If I were to go, I would just have, I've learned so many different things from coaches who have opened up to me in a very different way, and just watching all over the country, the different styles of play and how coaches choose to use their strategies, manage their teams, manage their lineups. So that intertwined in of itself has helped me be better in the booth as well, that coaching experience, but then being able to talk to them more freely. Certainly, I don't think you can really lead anything without an understanding of what happens at the base level of anything. And so just being able to talk to coaches of all levels, all divisions, assistant coaches, head coaches, having been there, done that, just really helps have those conversations and ask the questions that, maybe they want to talk about. So I feel like, being in this leadership role, having been a coach, that really helps serve the coaches a little bit more, and having a lot of those connections. And certainly, to your point, having it all connect, being able to speak to companies and businesses about what it's like on the field, and what you're looking for in a women's catching glove or something. And, just having that, there's no doubt it all intertwines, it all comes together, and being able to draw on all those buckets and kind of put it all together has really been the ultimate challenge. I think I mentioned to you, if I were to go back in coaching tomorrow, I'd be happy. I really did love every minute of it, and learned just as much as all the wonderful players I had to coach than I probably taught them. But having that experience as a coach, and not going back to coaching right now and staying in this role, which I love, my whole world has just opened up. Our whole softball world has opened up. With a coach, you have one team, one program, one goal. When you played at Stanford, there's a lot to be said for that. It's so much fun. You get invested in the players and invested in that team and in that conference or whatever it might be. But now I feel like the team that I have is like the whole softball world. So
Yeah.
Whether it's companies and businesses or coaches or players or the media, all the things. So it's really been the ultimate challenge to be able to serve all of those groups at a high level with this, as I always say, chasing around this little yellow ball. It's really done a lot for all of us and continues to do so. And I feel like the sky's still the limit for our sport.
It was fascinating hearing the perspective from somebody like Carol, who has such a multifaceted background in our sport. So I'm glad we could have her on the show. I'm excited to listen to her on the call this weekend. And there's even more insight to come in part 2 next week. So with that, let's bring it home. You've been listening to Bleav in Softball, part of Bleav Network. The show is available anywhere you get your podcasts, wherever you listen, including Bleav.com and YouTube too. Subscribe to the show, rate the show. If you liked it, write a review. Follow us on X and Instagram at Bleav in Softball. That's BLEAV. You can reach out to me personally on X at Jenna Becerra01 and Instagram at Jenna Becerra as well. As always, thank you for tuning in and catch you soon.